quote here: "Came for gooner reasons, stayed for gamer reasons." That that line, I thought, was something that we can learn about. We as content creators can learn about, and there's a teaching point there. In that you look at a game like Stellar Blade, and you can easily see it as something that is, it's just, flash. It's just, pretty girls and tight clothes and whatever, and it's just gooners who want to go play this game, and it has no substance or whatever. But that is not the story of Stellar Blade, right? So Stellar Blade, all the controversy was around how the characters are so pretty, or it's so much skin, or there's so much reveal. It's all like fetish wear and things like that. But what ended up happening, as people were playing it and as people found it, they discovered it was actually a good game, right? Like it was old school, and yes, it was kind of Souls-like-ish, whatever, which means it already had a segment of people who won't play it, like me. As much as I like sci-fi, and as much as, I'll take a waifu, the idea of it being too hard it's a turnoff for me. It's a turnoff for me. And so therefore I probably will never play it. But it also had a half decent story. It also had a half decent setup, and then a really good fun gameplay. Stellar Blade succeeded because it looked good and played well. There's a lot of games, though, and a lot of things, a lot of streamers, a lot of people, a lot of et cetera, that try really hard to make things visually good, or they try really hard to make the game good, but they don't have visuals, or they tried really hard on the visuals, but they don't have a good game. And I want to talk about that a little bit. And I want to bring sort of a point for content creators out of it. People shame the main character mocap actor. I know. I don't know why you'd. Yeah, exactly. It's like that really is a person. I don't actually play modern games other than pinball, but I have followed this war that has been happening. A lot of modern games intentionally uglifying the women, and that made gamers mad. So many of the AAA games flopped due to overall rejection. It's. I don't want to get into that controversy necessarily, because it is something. There are people out there that are like, why does Horizon Zero Dawn, why did they take, I can't remember her name. Anyway, main character, and why does she look like that? I don't really care. I played Horizon Zero Dawn. I thought she looked very realistic. I thought that she played well and the game was fun. Didn't really consider her look, what level of 1 to 10 attractiveness she was at. Clearly, that's not the same as Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade is created by people who their other games really are, it's just exaggerated women and the gameplay, right? This here, what it ended up being both, to everyone's surprise. You seen the picture of the most popular games of the year being anti-woke? No, I haven't. Send me that. I'll take a look at it. So there's a bunch of examples out there of games that tried for this style, whether it be Gooner Bait, or whether it be they wanted to look really cool, or whether or not they just had really cool RTX graphics or whatever. They used the latest version of Unreal Engine, but ultimately the game was boring as flip and it died. Why is Stellar Blade different? The Stellar Blade is different because it did both, right? You did both. It looked really cool, and it also played really cool. We wouldn't be talking about it. It wouldn't be as popular. It wouldn't be in the news. We wouldn't be if it wasn't for the fact that it was a good game too, right? It runs really well. The my favorite thing that the Gurk that they did is there's a mod that makes it so that the parry time is like twice as long or something. Yeah, I could maybe do that. It makes the parry easier, which I think is great. Western game studios want full DEI woke, whatever you want to call it. Games lecture the players, and even worse, the developers scolding their audience on social media. They will flop. Yeah, you're right. People don't like that. They don't respond to that. And in fact, what's ironic is that if they didn't, make it about that, it wouldn't matter. You can fit in a character of any shape, size, color, whatever, as long as they fit the story and fit the game. But if they don't, and they look like they've been shoehorned in, It's just people are going to react. But that's true of anything, right? If you play a game and it's got something in it that makes no sense for being there, it's clearly, like, for example, if you have a game and you have a game that you say it's got 40 hours of gameplay, people start playing it and they discover that half of the playtime is repetitive nonsense, where you're just like you're putting people through the paces and they're doing stuff that doesn't make any sense, or they're doing stuff that wastes their time. They will be upset. Why? Because you put things in the game that they don't want to do. Why did you do that? For manipulative, stupid, dumb reasons, to be able to say your game has more playtime. That is just going to make gamers mad. That's the same thing as you stuck in a character that had no reason for being there. You stuck in a bunch of language or a bunch of story elements or whatever that had no business being there. They didn't fit the story. They didn't fit the conversation, right? It just felt like it was shoehorned in for no reason. Nobody likes that. You watch a movie, you play a game, you listen to music, whatever, doesn't matter. If there's a section that is like, why did they do that? That doesn't make any sense. They clearly have sold out, or they've clearly lost their mind, or didn't make any sense. People get upset. They don't like that. They want to know that what you've created is something that comes from you to them. That's why I love pinball games so much. No drama or politics. That's funny. I'm not comfortable playing games with scantily clad women or men. Yeah, and that's fine. And I'm not saying you should play Stellar Blade. I'm saying we should learn from the fact that style over substance, or substance without style, both of those are a mistake. We have a problem with American TV shows dedicated to social messages rather than a story. And it's actually interesting if you look at the reason why. There is a financial incentive for these folks to have all the messaging in there because it affects their stocks. It's a whole thing. Go ahead and look it up. Essentially, the way that it worked, but I think it was like 7-8 years ago, or maybe 10. They're one of the big stock market people, big financiers, some big thing that had all the money. They said the way, we're going to rate people according to their ethics and according to their social message and whatnot. And if you don't do that, your rating will go down, and then not as many people will invest in you. So people are like, oh, crap, we better do that. And it altered the way that media works. Why? Not because they wanted to change the message. It was because that they wanted to make sure that their investors were happy and they had their good investor number. That's what ended up screwing them all up. Go ahead and look that up. I'm not going to, but it's there. Okay. The lesson here, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I will say that I believe that as a small streamer, as a small creator, you can grow if you have a basic setup and your content has substance, right? If you look at all the biggest content creators that are out there, whether it be Asmongold or otherwise, I think he's a great example, but there are also many others. They don't have a lot of spit and polish. They don't have all the stuff crap I do, right? The cool looking frame and all the graphics and slides and neon and whatnot. I love all that stuff. I think it's cool. They don't have any of it. This is them, a square count and like a default font. That's all it is. Well, why? Because their content, the substance of their content, is actually very attractive to people. So people like watching it. I think you can grow if you have decent audio and, I'll turn a light on kind of thing. You don't have to have Stellar Blade levels, awesome coolness. You don't have to look amazing. You don't have to look like the best VTuber out there if you have substance. However, I also believe that good design, clean audio, visual clarity, having a theme, having a style will get you noticed, right? It's like a thumbnail on YouTube. You can have the greatest video of all time. If it's got a terrible thumbnail, people aren't going to click on it. Same thing if you have the greatest thumbnail of all time and they go into the video and it's blah, they're not going to watch it. You need both, right? Both are important. If you have to choose between substance and style, choose substance, obviously. But I don't think it's a virtue for you to say, I look bad on purpose, right? I want my stuff to look bad. I don't really care about that. I don't care if I have good lighting. I don't care if I have good sound. I don't care if I have, I have, visuals or whatever. All I care about is just what I'm going to say. And I think that's not, it's not playing the game. And I don't think it's honoring your viewers well. It's the opposite of I only care about how I look, but I don't care about what I say. That's worse. But I still think it matters. Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that? Would you agree that you need both? Or do you feel as though, as Christian content creators, that you could lean too heavy towards visual? Like, what's your thought when it comes to Christian content creators and the visual style and the importance of lights and looks and stuff? Do you think that we should have a theme and a style and good stuff, or do you think that is too much? To look more authentic, we should look a little worse? Hello, Potato. Good to see you. But Ransom says one can wish women were more clothed and that they weren't uglified. Too many critics on both sides confuse the two. There you go. Back to the perfectionist conversation. I took a 2-year break from the clockwork because I couldn't get it to work the way I wanted it to. So after a break and using AI to help me, it got it good enough, and now I can crank out features almost no time. Yeah, there you go. But you still, you have an idea and it wasn't implementing, and so you took a break because it was frustrating. But now you're having more fun with it. That's good. Kirk says most of the big creators only blew up from networking. They were 1 to 5 viewer people before networking, as in who they stream with. Is that what you're talking about? The best part of this channel, in my opinion, are discussions like this one, and that's I agree. We're discussing, but the question is, if it was this, is it as good, right? Actually, well, hold on. We could do this. There. If it was just this, right? Would it have as much value or not? I don't know if I want that answer, quite frankly, because this is, to me, this is the barest amount. This is the bare minimum. I even have a logo on here because I couldn't help myself. I could not have the black space here and not have something in it. Today we're talking about a few things. We've been talking about viewer retention, been talking about the mind's eye disaster and the importance of launching and perfectionism versus rushing it out. And now we're talking about the how Stellar Blade is both, very shiny, but also very good, and what we can learn from that as content creators, and that our basic setup can be good enough, but when it comes to design, do you think how important it is? I think it is somewhat important. That was loud. That's it. I think both are important. And again, I think I'm belaboring the point, but I think both are important. And I will overdo the look. Like when I do my gaming thing, right? This is a lot. Like there are things going on that you may not even notice. Like if you look way up to the top, you notice how the stars are sparkling? Have you ever noticed that before? Probably not. Another thing you probably have never noticed and will never notice is that the skyline is Ottawa, like my hometown. You don't notice that the Parliament buildings are in there from Ottawa. You would never notice that, but I made sure it was part of that. The neon, colors, the me having I don't know. Like it's just I like all that stuff. Is it distracting? Some could argue. Maybe. Stop it! I need to turn that off. It does that every time I go to the one screen. I'm a I think I'm a minimalist personally. I want things to look nice, but I don't want to have too much on the screen. And I don't know when to stop adding. That's how that's how I am. I will keep adding and adding and adding and adding and
Shut
adding
up,
and adding.
take my money.
Pretty people have it easier in life blowing up, and if you aren't pretty, you have to work. You have to work 10 times harder for a lesser result. I think it'll get you in the door easier. Being physically attractive or being really good at something, like it's in like the visual side of it. I think it'll get you in the door. I don't think it'll let you keep it in the door unless you are top 0.001% in level of attractiveness. I think it'll open the door, but it won't let people keep you. You won't stay in the door. You need to have something else going on. The polish isn't necessary, says Ransom. But it does affect the streamer's ethos. Shows he's skilled and pays attention. I think the same thing. Actually, that's a good point, Ransom. I wasn't going to make that point, and that is that your first impression of a stream is going to be the look. Like when I look at, I don't know if I should do this or not, but if I go to Twitch and then I go to just chatting and I go through essentially, let's just go to the top. I don't want to judge anybody, but if you go through the top, you're not going to see much. Right? You're not going to see much. Most of the top is actually what I would call very poor looking. It doesn't look good at all. It's just some dude and then his screen, and then some dude and a screen, some dude and a screen, some dude and a screen. And like how far down you got to go before you can find something that's a bit more technical? I guess a VTuber is the most technical, but even that's pretty basic. Right? Like how far until you actually have to see an overlay there, right there. Like that's effort, man. There's effort there. See the bottom, it looks kind of cool. It's got a little timer. It's got like neon. It's got color. That's cool. I think that's really, really cool. But most aren't, right? Most aren't like that. If you go to small streamers, like really small streamers, like the ones that we know, generally they'll put a lot more effort in. And it just kind of seems one-to-one when it comes to a streamer that isn't putting any effort in, doesn't care about views, doesn't care about nothing, isn't willing to put the work in. Usually looks like the ones that are at the very, very top. And then if you're in the middle, they're usually pretty elaborate, right? You're 20 to partner to maybe 100 kind of thing. They usually have a pretty elaborate stream. And then later it gets less elaborate. I don't know. It's interesting. I DM the meme to you. Not sure if you want to show, but it's funny. I'll see it. I'll look at it later. Is there ominous music playing? Oh, you mean from the thing? Yeah. It's meant to be newsy. Almost feels like a breaking news graphic. That's the idea. That's what I'm shooting for. Breaking news. I should add more like chat or something, but I'm always very hesitant to add too much. And I'm the opposite. I will continue to add until there's nothing left. Like just clogged. God bless you. Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Thank you for the blessing. Very kind of you. Chrono, I sometimes feel like I put too much work into my own. See, the thing is, I'm really attracted to how yours looks. I think yours looks amazing. Now, maybe it could be argued that that's not what people are doing anymore. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm just an old guy who's doing old things the old way. And you could make an argument that we should all be simplifying. Like it really all should look like I had shown before. And it's what it should look like. But I don't know. Maybe not. I'd love to hear. Okay, so can we come up with a poll? I'm going to come up with a poll. See if I can come up with a question. Should streams look elaborate? No. What would be a good question? How important are visuals to content success. Very, somewhat, not very, not at all. There. I don't know if that'll work. But essentially, I'm just kind of asking you the question. Well, that's the elaborate. I would consider mine to be elaborate. I would consider Chrono to be elaborate. I'd consider, like a lot of the ones that we follow to not be so much. Like they have a lot less going on than I do. Aki is extremely elaborate. Lots going on, right? Lots of visuals, multiple cameras, lots of things happening. 3 games at once. You know, multiple streamers, multiple like 3 different voices happening. Sometimes 4. Like he's very elaborate. And obviously has seen a lot of success. I would say that Susie, very elaborate. A lot of elaborate, a lot of look and shine and sparkle to his. I feel the same way. Maybe I'm just old. I could be. I mean, it could be us, right? Like, not necessarily that it's good. It's just it's the way that old people think, and that it needs to be shiny. Old people being like, I don't know, in their 40s. If all small streamers are doing it and big ones are not, does that mean that we should not be doing it because we should be trying to emulate the bigger views? Actually, I would say that it's a rite of passage. That happens a lot in different places. Is in the early days, you're very elaborate. You've got a lot going on. You know, you got your menu is complicated. Your the way that you serve things is complicated. The way that you design things is complicated. And as you get more successful, you simplify. Right now, you got a smaller menu. Now you've got a smaller system. You've cut a lot of the fat, and it ends up being a lot less elaborate. I think that's just a way that things happen. But I wonder if the elaborate nature is part of the growing process to find out whether or not what is important. You know, what's the most important thing? I did finally start working on audio on Sunday. I think that difference is huge. Audio is number one. You get audio wrong, there's no point in streaming. People have to be able to hear you. People don't want the stream to look like an advertisement because it feels like corporate TV, no longer like a real person. Okay, interesting. So these logos right here, is that bad? I think spending too much time on overlays, widgets, and alerts isn't what brings people unless your stream is about overlays, widgets, and alerts. I think the way that I would phrase it is that it needs to have a reason. It needs to have a purpose, right? Like why do you have that alert? What's the community? What's the content reason for it? Like when I have a raid, I'm excited that a raid's coming in. That's why everything goes nuts, right? When I do, so both. All right, interesting. So somewhat interesting. Very interesting. So like when the lights change and stuff like that, that's partly because I'm a nerd and I like having cool things happen like that, but also because I want a visual cue that something's happening. And when it comes to all the other stuff that goes on, I have a lot that happens. I've often thought of just completely removing all channel points because there are a lot of times that they are a distraction. The reason I haven't yet is because they're a way for some of them are a way for the community to tell a joke or to connect to the content that I'm doing in a funny way. Like for example, if you did, like Let It Go or whatever, like give up. Playing Give Up is funny, and it's funny most of the time. Or having some kind of way that like the dumb ways to die. It's funny because it fits in and it's part of the way that the community can tell me and can connect to the content that I'm doing. So therefore, I think it's important in that way. But I think some of them are distracting. Some of them are kind of pointless, and some of them are just kind of get in the way, and they don't have a purpose. But I think some of them do. But I've thought about just kind of getting rid of them altogether, because especially in the content that I'm doing now, where we're talking about like we're talking. There's no reason for it at all. Wow, I'm way behind in chat. Forgive me. How do you personally balance what you want to do with your art? Hey, Caster, sorry. How do you personally balance what you want to do and your art with audience preference? I think it has to come from me. I have to be interested in it. I have to like it. I have to want it on there. Like, I shouldn't have a synthwave aesthetic. I couldn't. If I were to do an aesthetic that I would say would be based around my content the way it should be, it would be a lot more simple. And it would, there'd be like a library behind me, and I'd be like sitting in a chair, or I don't know, something. It'd be there. It wouldn't look like I've got all this stuff going on. It's distracting, but it's me. I love synthwave. One of the things that streaming has allowed me to be is myself, right? Is it's allowed me to kind of say, I'm a Christian. I'm a nerd. I like purple. I like video games. I like doing stuff. I talk about serious things. I love jokes. I think some of it, all that stuff, is really, really good. But I also think that it's important for me to that if it's only me, as in like if just because I like it, it's on there, and it's annoying or frustrating or distracting, as in it pulls attention away or causes people to not want to watch, I think that's going to be a problem. Like, for example, someone said, like, when it came to church services, right? So you pretend that the church service is holding a tambourine, and you trying to hold this tambourine, and you use it, and it complements what's going on. The little things are happening. It's fine. It's being used well. What you don't want to do is drop the tambourine, by which it meant like there's a section or something happens in the service, or in the, on the stage or something that just causes like a crash distraction. You want to keep the vibe. You want to keep things going. You want to keep it smooth. And as soon as you kind of drop that tambourine and it goes, and there's a big noise and people are distracted, you kind of pull them out of their, it takes a little while for them to get back into the zone, whether it be listening to the sermon or singing the songs or hearing the announcements or taking or talking to each other or whatever it is. You're trying to remove those barriers of distraction. I think that's true for any form of communication, is that if anything that you're doing when you're communicating that is pulling away from the communication is working against you. Anything that goes towards it and allows people to understand it better, or see it better, or experience it better, or to learn it better, whatever it is helping. So when it comes to art, when it comes to this, I have, like this thing here, I show my notes. Why do I show my notes? Because there are people out there that want to see that they're visual. They like seeing words. I show my notes. For most things, I show my notes. And then when it comes to like the chat, people, I believe people want to see their words on stream. They want to, so when they type, they want the visual confirmation that it showed up. I think that's important. I think that's something that people find sort of critical, right? As in, they need to be able to see it, which is why everybody does it. I have a million things going on, so I have the announcements thing. I forget to do the announcements most of the time. I can't remember to do them, and so I'm trying to find a passive way to show you guys what's going on, and hopefully over the course of 4 hours, whatever the thumbnail that shows up down there, announcement, will show you what's going on, and then I won't have to try to remember. It's not easy for me. I get too distracted. So it has purpose, but at the same time, if it's ugly or pulling people away or whatever, I think that'd be a problem. You like the logos, Chrono? That's cool. Tech writer me likes simplicity. Even minimalism can be good. Yes. Oh, I think if anything, Apple has proved, or a lot of the brands have proved, minimalism is probably preferred these days. I won't say it's bad. I'll say it's not my preference, and my ADD goes rampant when there's logos and stuff everywhere. What I want to do, I actually am going to change this. These things here are really big. What I want to do is I want to put them like along the top in get them out of the way. But I've got a lot of things I want to do. A lot. And I think having the sponsors there is important, but I also think if it pulls away from the actual content, that's not as good. And there's ways to do it. Like I can have, I got to get rid of that. We're not doing that anymore. There's ways I can do it. Put it into the rotation here and don't have it on screen. Just trying new things. Stole it from Susie, actually. Saw Susie had it, thought it was cool, stole it from him. I never thought about showing words on stream because I see them on the side of the screen in the chat box already. I don't ever have that on. If I watch you guys on TV, if you're a streamer, I don't have chat on. It pulls the thing to the side. It goes over top. I don't get to see half the thing that you're looking at. Like if it was mine right now, I think it would cover basically a third of the article. Like it doesn't serve the visuals well. So I put it on stream. But I can see an argument for both sides. Why not? Make you wish I knew how to do the arts. I can't art. I don't art either. I paid for all my art. Everything. This frame I paid for. The this purple thing I bought off Etsy. The everything. I gave money to some artist somewhere because I don't art good. Test would be to do if you can't see the logo or element of a stream on an iPhone screen, then it should be removed. Yeah, maybe, but like that'd be pretty small. Okay, so that's that. All that to say, I think it's both. Stellar Blade proves to me that you have to have substance, and style will get you places. I think both matter. There you go. I didn't like purple till I saw all the cool stuff. I'll take that. For me, the chat, the community, the big element of whatever live stream is. Yes, exactly. That is it. It's the community, the people for our content, or the content we do. For some people, it's not going to be. Like, for example, if you're a drummer and you got neon all over the place and it looks cool and there's no chat, it's because you're a drummer and people are watching you drum. Or you're DJ, it's not as prevalent because you're DJing. It's not about the chat. So I can see that being different. But for our content, I think in the same one good lesson would be next time you're doing shorts or you're doom scrolling or you're going through Instagram or you're going through whatever, what causes you to stop? Right? When you're flipping through, what causes you to stop? And if it's not something you like, if it's not considering things you already know, or like a TV show you already like, or a content creator you already know is good, stuff you don't know yet. When you flip it up and you've never seen this person before and they start talking and you stay there, what made you stay? What was it? The fact that you're like, oh, these guys, this is, really good camera, really good sound, or because they looked a certain way, or because the way that their framing was? Like, what made you stop long enough to give them a chance? And also, when you see and you go past one on your shorts and you think, you just like immediately, like just like, go, gone. What made it so that you just got rid of that one? You didn't even give them a chance. Was it because they had bad lighting? Was it because they had, some kind of annoying thing happening? Was it because it was off center, the framing was wrong? Was it because they had text all over the place and it just looked like garbage? Like, what made it you immediately go, I'm never watching that. I don't care what you're saying. I don't like that. And whatever you do when it comes instinctually to that, and I do this all the time, I try to go, okay, I hated that. Gone. Why did I hate that? Well, usually it's because there's too much like distraction. The framing is garbage and the lighting is wrong. And I don't care. I need good lighting. Otherwise, I'm not going to believe you know what you're doing, regardless of what you do. That's just my bias. Is it better for a streamer? Okay, here's the question from Girk. Is it better for a streamer to provide content and entertainment to a chat, or have the streamer make the content out of their chat? If they have no chat, there isn't really content. I notice creators like Asmongold balance two ideas really well, but then other just chat streamers only go off their chat, and it seems like the chat is the one providing the entertainment for the streamer or viewer. I think it has to do. It has to do with what you're good at. I think that has to do with what you're good at. There are going to be people out there who don't need. They can just jump off one thing, and they can talk for a long time and be interesting for a long time. I think Asmongold is probably one of those guys. He's able to go to chat when he needs to get a little bit of a spark to another thing, but then he's able to go off and talk about it. Same thing with Moist Critical. Same thing with I don't know very many. Still learning the those kind of streamers. I tend to avoid them because I don't want gossip and I don't want drama, which they tend to run on. So I tend to avoid them. But but I'm trying to learn from them since they know what they're doing and I'm trying to learn. So I would say it depends on what you're good at. If you're really good at interacting with chat and you're able to make them feel engaged and you're able to make them feel good, you're able to be helpful, it's part of it, then great. I know some people are really bad at reading chat. For them, someone will go by and they won't answer the question, or they don't use it as a jumping off point, or they don't really, they just kind of go, oh, okay. And then they move on, and just completely ignore whatever it was. And other people, they are really bad at coming up with stuff to talk about. They need something, and they're really good at communicating like a conversation with chat. I think it depends on what you're good at. I would say that for me, what I've learned is that I have, I can show you what I'm doing right now. Here. So I have, for this stream, my segments laid out, my little points that I have put together, some ideas for polls, and some basic notes for me to jump into. And so when I kind of start running out of stuff, I lean over to it and I kind of look at the next thing and then I talk about that. I'm fairly okay, I think, at just going off of a note and just talking about it for whatever way and et cetera, et cetera. I do the same thing with chat. I can grab one piece of something it says and just kind of go off. And yet at the same time, if I didn't have any notes and and chat was slow, I wouldn't have anything to say. I would just stand here with my finger up my nose, hoping that somebody would say something. I wouldn't be able to do it. I think the message is important and how sincerely it's communicated. Someone who has authenticity to them draws me more than visuals. 90% of my subs on Twitch have visual effects. Yes. That goes to what we're talking about with Stellar Blade, right? That's style or substance. It's both, right? I think if you have a lot of substance, you can probably go with a lot less style. And if you have, not a lot of substance, you can try to compensate by making it look super cool. But if you can find that balance between the two, where you have style and you have substance, where it looks good and you're interesting, it looks good and you are compelling and it draws people in, then yeah, for sure. I just realized that my chat died and I'm wondering why you guys weren't talking. Because my chat program died. Ugh. Why is nothing ever any good? Refresh. I need to add more shiny. Well, it depends, right? Like, so come to Chrono's stream and I say hello to Chrono. Hello, Chrono. If Chrono doesn't say hello back to me, I'm like, he doesn't like me. He's not my friend. I don't want to be here anymore. Right? Because you're the kind of streamer who I want to get acknowledged by. You know what I mean? That I want you to say hello to me. I don't need you to hang on my every word, but I want you to know that I'm there. Right? Whereas there are some other creators that I will just show up and I will just sit there and listen because I don't expect them to hear me. They're usually either super busy or they're playing a game that is engaging, or they just have a beautiful voice. I always think of Empress Chronicle, who is not that anymore. Chronicle of the Stars, I think she's called now. Doesn't matter. Turn her on and doesn't matter what she says. She could read the phone book and I would sit there and listen to her. And it would, but most people I want, if you're going to be engaging and you want to talk, I want you to know I'm there. If you can prompt yourself. Yeah. XN didn't fully catch what you said on channel points, like channel points a lot. And to be honest, I often lurk more for the channel points than the stream. removing them or not having pricey redeems aimed for to use them on, it can be less appealing to lurk there. I like that they are rewarding for you to being on the channel, but channel points can have a big distraction, me included. Just there for channel points. I'm at 490K saving for the 1 million total, but keeping the watch streak or joining them, leaving the raid just for channel points. So I would say that the way to put this is different people are motivated by different things. Obviously, there are some people out there that are collectors. They want the points, doesn't matter what they want, and they want to be rewarded for collecting. You better give them something, right? You better give them something. Other people, they don't care about that. What they're there for is that, like, if they never got a channel point and never used a channel point, they wouldn't care. What they care about is whether or not you know they're there and that you are looking at them and you making them feel like they're special. You know, other people couldn't care less about channel points, couldn't care less about the engagement. All they care about is that you are interesting and funny, or funny, right? They are there because they want you to say funny stuff and do interesting things, and they just want to watch, and they don't need you to acknowledge their existence, and you don't need to use channel points. I think of a lot of the big Twitch streamers that play games. The heck's his freaking name? What's his name? He's probably on right now. No, he's not. Dang it. There's an Irish guy, I can't remember his name. He's really good at streaming. He's very funny, but he doesn't have any he doesn't have any channel points. I don't even think he talks to chat. Hardly ever. He talks sometimes, but hardly ever. And the reason is because he's just really funny, right? He's just really good at what he does, and nobody cares. So I think it will depend on anybody, on what they want. I think the reason I do the stickers is because I want you to lurk. What I want from you, this is another side of it, is it depends on what I want from you, right? If I want you to chat with me, I better engage with chat. If I want you to watch, I better be engaging. If I want you to lurk, I better give you a reason to lurk, right? So therefore, there are people who are like, I'm here to lurk, I want a sticker, right? I will just go on there because I want the sticker, and I want to see the number go higher. And other people, they couldn't care less about that. They want to know that I'm there, and they want to know that I'm communicating with them, and they've got some issue, or they want to talk about something. And for others, like, man, you're my radio. I don't care what you look like. I don't even look at the screen. I have you minimized. You're in my car. You're in my pocket, right? I don't care. What I care about is you talking, having decent audio, and being interesting. It all depends. Can you please all the people all the time? No, I don't think you can. But I also think that you can. You should consider whether or not you do provide. I'm gonna sit down. Give me a second, and then I'll read. I can tell when I start wandering back and forth that I need to sit down. Wobbly. I get wobbly. Yep. This thing is broken. That's annoying. Hold on, I gotta close ground control. Yeesh. Can be a downside to them. I've heard from one community that when they raid, they ask for the 2-minute drill to stay after the raid for at least 2 minutes to support them and give them a chance, if you may like. They go on your way. I like this idea, but even this, I'm less inclined to do. I like channel points a lot, but I can't understand their downsides. So yeah, like I said, but I would like, the 2-minute drill thing, I think is great, but y'all have to remember they're watching you. And I've been doing the raid thing. I raided every stream except for maybe like 6 in my whole career. I raid every single time. And doesn't matter how many people I raid in with, doesn't matter how many people that they have. It'll be, wow, that's really cool, and then back down. You know, usually you'll lose 80% of the people you raided in with within a very short period of time. Why? Because they're there to watch you. And unless you raid into somebody who's very similar content or very similar vibe, or very, like sort of has some kind of, I don't know, thing going on that's at least relatively interesting, they're done. And they're going to go find whatever their next thing is. It's raids to me have always been a compliment. It's a way that I compliment another streamer. I don't think that I'm going to grow their influence, and I don't think I'm going to grow their like on my back. I think it's just my way of saying, I think you're cool. Hey community, come over and just make this people feel good for a second. But I don't think it necessarily grows with any kind of substance your viewer count very much. Maybe a little bit. Ransom, yeah, already got the 500k. Yeah, you guys can flex all you want, yeah. If you redeemed one sticker, I would assume it would be the 250. You know what? I'm going to ask a poll question that just came up. Poll. Here. It's about channel points. So, should I remove remove channel point redeems other than stickers? Okay. Here's a poll. And the poll is basically, do you think I should delete all the goofy stuff and just leave the stickers on? Would it affect you at all? Kind of curious. Like there's something to do to use the 50k on, but stream isn't about channel points, still engage. Yeah. You can go to the fish channel, like Dustin's fish channel. It doesn't engage you, and you can get all the channel points you want. So some people are going to want that. Other people don't care. Some people love that because it's just, for them, it's some zen, and they like that channel. It all depends, you can't please everybody. Agree. I'm here for the discussion and to hear your thoughts, pastoral ministry, to chatters, lives, and the personality you have. Yeah, you're here for me, not the channel points and not the colors, right? Yeah. That's how I treat raids. If you like me, enjoy this other person who is way better than me at this. Or, well, see, I treat it as basically like, hey, it's my way of blessing a streamer, or saying I like you, streamer, or to bolster a little energy to their stream. That's what I do. I don't think I'm changing anybody's lives. You could make them contextual, remove them when you don't need them, bring them back when you want them. I forget to bring them back. That's the problem. I don't remember to turn them back on. I missed the explosion channel redemption. I know. I've had some really fun ones. And there's some that are locked behind a paywall that you guys can't even access. Because I thought maybe it would get me some bits, but you know what? When I turned that on, nobody used it. This would have said it where you could still collect channel points, but have not anything to use them on. Is there? Okay. And I like having them as a way to interact with. Yeah, big ways and key points. Exactly. Why is my transition XNNN? Because it's the Christian Ninja News Network. Theoretically, I could have done that. I had 500k collected, but I redeemed the 3 smaller stickers first. Yeah. Made a big goofy CP redemptions, and everyone started grinding up for them and not using the other things that I get. I do that. Yeah. Actually, since the stickers are on there, I don't get very many. I don't get very many. Yeah. I must be tired. More rogue, quick. Power blue, baby. You have him biggin for your, yeah, because I'm dumb. Exactly. Anytime I can make my life a little easier by not being dumb. I try to automate everything. I automate my announcements. I automate as much as I can because I just get so locked in. I forget stuff.